Hello and welcome back. So continuing on with the terrain viewer, starting with this video and the next few videos coming up, we're going to be working on some camera utilities, Lee.
Yeah, well, it's camera utilities is going to be a single class that is going to have a lot of the functionality that you saw off to the side, where we're being able to draw the rings. We're going to be able to have a somewhat camera frustum representation. Basically, right now, if we look at the camera frustum, we see that it's got this little pyramid thing drawn here, which is good, but it's not the representation that I wanted to have all the time, and I wanted to have something that would show up here in the scene panel without having to have the camera selected. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some math that's going to draw a little triangle that will represent the camera on a flat 2D plane instead of this three-dimensional representation.
Okay.
So we'll do that in addition to the circles, as well as a couple of helper methods, particularly some methods to calculate where what zone we're in and what patch we're in.
Okay.
So that other parts of the program can query it and have a single place to deal with that. But even before we get into that, there's one thing that I missed on the setup part, and I need to go and fix that now. So what I'm going to do is jump over to our, well, it'd probably help if I brought this up so you guys can see what I'm doing. But inside a terrain viewer, I need to create a new folder for config. And I need to bring that config ini file over. So let's go into our exporter. We'll grab this and then paste it here inside of our config. Now, I'm going to drag this over, bring up Visual Studio, particularly the terrain viewer. Wow, I've got multiples now. That's really going to confuse me. No, not that one. This one. There we go. All right. So now that I've got that open, I can drag this ini file in so we can look at it. So pretty much all the settings are going to change. What we're going to mess around with a little bit is this guy right here.
Wait a minute. Now, did you just say all of the settings are going to change?
No, I said pretty much all the settings are going to stay the same, except
okay.
These two guys here. We're going to change these. But I may have said it, but I'm going to deny it.
Okay, good enough.
So I'm going to set interest range to 9, and I'm going to set hold range to 15. The numbers that we had before were based off of those little itty-bitty patches. And the patches that we're going to be using here are going to be significantly larger.
Okay.
So I would change these to be 9 and 15 for now. So go ahead and close the rest of these because we don't need them yet. Let's go into our scripts, and we're going to create a new script. If I can remember the right key combination. No, that wasn't it. Wow. Come on. There we go. All right. So class is going to be camera utilities. And do a little bit of cleanup. No namespace, because this is going to be a mono behavior. And we're going to attach this to our camera. And hey viewer.
There you go.
All right, so let's minimize this. Now let's start skeleting out, because I believe this first video is just the initial setup of our stuff, so I don't want to get too carried away. But there are going to be a few things that we're going to need to keep track of. And so we'll use a public static int, and this will be our interest range. And interest range, yeah. So get with a private set. duplicate this a couple times. So we've got our interest range, we've got our hold range. And then I want to have our patch size. So we've got patch size, and I'm trying to remember, do I have value for that one too? Interest range, vertex count, and spacing. Yeah, so I've got that, so we'll calculate it. So here will be get return. Oh. I swear that return, or the
shift key.
Yeah, shift key does that on purpose. All right, so get, we're going to return. What are we going to return? We're going to return our, yeah, I'm going to have to draw that out. So we're going to use config. I can type. No, I can't. Config, config dot settings dot get, and hold on, config, not settings directly, get int. So this will be our vertex count, and -1 times config dot and any is vertex spacing. So get int vertex spacing. So yeah, except I don't like that because it's hard to read. So
Right.
I will clean it up. There, that's easier to read. I was hoping to squeeze it all in one, but it was getting too long, so we'll just fix it. All right, so that will be our patch size. So these are basically going to allow us to get this information from anywhere with just calling our camera utilities.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in addition to this one, I want to set up our, let's go up to the top, our target lookat. So public static game object, and this will be target lookat. Again, private set, and then let's public static. Now this one's a new one. I don't know if you guys have seen this yet. So this is using the plane, and I'm going to make an array of them. So this is going to be an array of planes, so called planes. I'm going to use this array to hold all of the planes for our camera.
Yeah, I thought we'd done something like this already.
Did we?
I thought so.
Oh yeah, I think I did that for doing some checks in the train generator. Our first one, I forgot I carried that over. So you forget these things.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to do a public static game object, and this will be debug text. Text. I don't want that one public though. This one's going to be private. So that's private. And I want this one to be a property. So a little copy and pasting to keep things nice and tidy. And then I'm not going to implement that here now. So we'll leave that. So that will get us our first part. Try and think, patch sizes, anything else that I need to do. I know, because this is a mono behavior, I want to avoid a wake method on this one. So I'll skeleton that in. I definitely want to avoid update. So we'll skeleton that in. And let's see, what else do I want to put in here for now? That should be it, but because I'm relying on our config, if I don't do this now, I will forget. So let me go ahead and do void awake here. And let's call config dot load settings. That bit us several videos back.
Yep.
So I'm going to make sure that's taken care of. And then that should be everything I need for this initial video. Like I said, this one was just about getting the class in place and the initial skeleton in place. And then we'll come back in the next video. What do we have lined up? I think
It's going to be patch and zone location, I believe is the next thing.
Yeah, there are going to be a couple of helper methods that are going to allow us to determine where we are in relation to zones and patches.
Okay.
So, and we'll do that one in this next coming up video.
Okay, well, fantastic. Well, with that, that's going to wrap up this video, and we will see you guys in the next. Thanks a lot.